We are here with Miss Jamie, and we are going to be talking today about what brought you to become a therapist. What led you to become a therapist?
I always thought I was going to be a nurse, actually. I have a mom, an aunt, and both grandmothers are RNs. So I thought that's what I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to work with people and help people. But it was when I was in high school, my high school class, we went and toured. I lived in Birmingham, Alabama at the time. So we toured Health South facility. It's a big rehab facility. And when we walked in and toured, I saw physical therapy, occupational therapy. They had a big gym set up for like where they were training the Paralympics, a pool. They had everything there. So when I was walking around, I saw that. I was like, that's what I wanted to do. So
that's such a cool experience.
So that's what made me change.
Very cool. What was your favorite memory as a therapist? Or is your favorite memory? Could have been really recently.
I have two. One was a couple of years ago when I had a stroke patient and we were really working on his balance and his sitting balance, and the first time I told him, all right, we're going to stand and walk. It was actually in this gym, and he looked at me and he was very afraid. I'm like, we're just going to try. And when he walked, I think he went probably 15 or 20 feet. It was max assist and he had a platform walker, but when he sat, he started crying. So I knew that he was proud of himself and surprised. Of course, then I cried too.
Yeah.
But I think that was one of my favorite ones.
That's incredible.
And the other one that was just recently, again, it was a stroke patient. It's one that's been here for a while. I worked with for 2 or 3 years. She had a recent stroke again, and I didn't get to see her when she was leaving. So when she came back, I walked in her room and I popped my head in, and she looked at me, and I didn't know if she was going to be able to talk. I didn't know how bad the stroke was. And when I walked in, I wanted to see if she was going to remember me, and she looked at me and she said, oh, my friend. And so that was just recently.
That's a good one. Those are really good. Do you have a funniest experience that you'd want to share?
Yes. It was actually funny and gross.
I was going to say, it's like most of the time they're like, am I even allowed to share this?
Yeah, I can share this, but it's a little gross. So
those are the best ones.
I've been working in a skilled nursing facility for 13 years now. So after a while, you kind of get used to the environment. You always wear gloves. I know all that. Well, this was at another facility before this one that I was working at. It was about 6 years ago. Me and my occupational therapist that I was working with, we were walking with the patient. I was walking down the hall. She was having him reach for stuff that she was placing along the handrail. And the patient stopped and looked at me, and he was like, something's like his pants. He was like trying to fix something on his pants. I believe he had dementia, one of those. He couldn't verbally. And I said, oh, let me fix that for you. I didn't have gloves on because I was out in the hallway doing a treatment. So when I went to go fix what he was trying to tug, my hand got wet, and I looked, and there was a poop on my hand. And I remember stopping. I'm like, look what you made me do. And I had it on my hands. I'm like, I've got to stop. So then the OT was laughing. I sat the patient down. I went and I scrubbed and washed and scrubbed and washed. So needless to say, I don't do that anymore. I'll be like, we'll go take you to the bathroom and check things out.
Such a PT. So there was the OT trying to get you to help?
Yes.
Like, check and see.
Yeah, and then I was like, no. And then I went and did it, and I'm like, look. She was dying, and I was like grossed out.
So it wasn't her?
Yes. So that was the funniest experience, I guess.
That's funny. How would you describe to someone who doesn't know what you do, kind of what you do on a daily basis?
Oh, goodness. Whenever I say I do physical therapy, they probably, of course, a nursing home, I get the, oh, that's so sad. To me, I don't see it as sad. To me, I have interaction with them, especially for the long term, as it can be sad. But they get to know you, and I get to know them, and you form a bond in a relationship. So to me, it's not just getting up and getting walking, it's the interaction and the relationships that you develop, because when you're with them every day, it can be sad, I guess you can say, but to me it's more rewarding. I make them happy, and whether if they feel confident with what they do, or they feel stronger, or if there's something that I can give them to make them smile about, that's how I look at it.
Very cool. What's your go-to intervention?
All right, so my go-to intervention I always read whenever I get a new patient, I always read the eval and see what the PT has set, goals, what their diagnosis was that caused them to come into our facility. From there, I like to see what they do on the eval, but then I just go in the room, whether I do it in the room or I come take them to the gym. I basically do standing leg exercises because that tells me 3 things in one activity. I have them stand and I start my timer. I get to see their standing tolerance for one, their endurance, their ability to stand on one leg while they're exercising the other, so I'm watching on their balance and their trunk control. And at the same time, I'm also seeing their strength up against gravity. So that to me gives me 3 things in like one activity, and it gives me an idea the next day what to do.